Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today's video we are going to be watching a true
About 10 years
house.
ago, my 3-year-old son and I moved to a house from our apartment. It was a very old building, and the inside of the house always seemed to be just a little darker and just a little colder than it should have been. Not long after we moved in, a friend of mine came to visit. The whole time we were sitting talking, she seemed very uncomfortable. When I looked at her face, I noticed that something in the other room had caught her attention. Her eyes grew wide and she said, "I have to go." I asked her what was wrong, but she refused to tell me. Her odd reaction was freaking me out, so I kept after her.
Serious?
On her way out the
And I'm
door,
like her?
she finally blurted out, "This house is haunted." But she wouldn't tell me what it was,
Out of there.
or what made her think so.
Now.
To this day, she still refuses to tell me what she saw.
I won't step alone
About a week
in that
later,
house ever
my
again.
3-year-old son casually asked me who the old lady in the bathroom was.
Why would there be an
One
old
day,
lady in the
I was
bathroom?
leaving my house for work, and I got to the car and I realized I needed to run back in the house to get something. I walked into the house, and as soon as I got inside, this framed photo on the wall shot off the
go
wall.
horizontal straight.
It didn't fall down. It shot horizontally away from the wall, and it landed on a mosaic table with enough force to break some of the tiles
Does
off
not.
it. I felt like whatever was in the house was pissed, and that I came back in after it thought I had left for the day.
Pretty mad.
After living in the house for about 6 months, I noticed a
Why would
weird
there be
square
a
cut into
shadow?
the
There's no
boards on
vehicles
the deck.
around us for sure.
There was no handle, but I was able to pry it up.
Why would he go
The
down
hole
there?
was just
I
big
honestly
enough
don't
to
know
fit
why
through,
people
and there was a ladder going down.
do this kind of stuff.
For some
like,
reason, I went
it'd be
down and I
kinda scary.
found myself in what looked like a homemade basement. It was basically just a room dug out of the earth, with no constructed walls or stone supports or anything like
Who would
that.
live down there?
It was very dark, but I could see
He
something
must go
over in the
upstairs
corner.
every day when some.
It was a
when
suspicious
when he
looking
leaves the
stone.
house, or
It looked like one of those old headstones you see in
and then they
cemeteries.
probably eat.
Just then,
food.
some insects
Ew,
started
there's a
jumping
whole lot
on
of
me,
bugs.
so I got out of the basement as fast as I could and never went
Imagine
back.
just the grave.
Now this is the part that affected me the
the
most.
back, and then
It's also the
you're
reason we left the house. One night I was in bed laying on my stomach just about to fall asleep, and I heard someone walk into my room. The footsteps came from the doorway over to my bed. I didn't realize until later that the fact that I heard the footsteps was weird because the room was carpeted. When the footsteps reached my bed, I felt someone put their hands on my back. Two hands, just gently laid flat on my back and kept me there. I assumed it was my son.
Not your son.
"What are you doing?" I asked, but there was no answer. I looked up. No one was there. I got up and checked my son's bedroom, and he was in bed fast asleep.
Better than seeing the movie.
We moved out soon after that,
Wait,
and we
it
never
definitely wasn't
looked
his son
back.
because he's sleeping. Oh, that lady was just right there. Dang. Well, that was the end. I'll see you guys next time. Bye. Hey guys, welcome back to another video.
This story
We're
takes
still in the
place
same video.
when I was a junior high
When I
school
said
student.
see you guys next time, I meant in this
One
video
morning
now.
during summer
So I'm watching
vacation,
this True
after my
Countryside
father went to
Horror
work,
Story
My mother and I
is
decided to
animated,
visit my maternal
just like that.
grandmother, who lived in a rural area. Since my grandmother's house was located in the countryside, getting there required making a left turn, then driving for 5 minutes through a narrow, one-car-wide, unpaved road. There were rice fields and forest on the sides of the unpaved road.
They always bow, I guess.
As soon as
before
we
they go to their
arrived,
grandmas.
I greeted my grandmother, then went into my youngest uncle's room. I used to like visiting my grandmother's house because my uncle was a huge gaming fan and his computer was much better than mine at home. So once I confirmed my uncle was at work, I turned on his computer and started playing Doom 3, which used to be the most popular game once
Never
upon
heard
a
of it.
time. After playing the game for about an hour or two, my uncle returned from work.
I guess he likes to
Upon
scare
his arrival,
his...
my grandmother asked
I don't
him
know
to
what you
take her
call
grocery
it.
shopping, since my
Honestly,
mother,
don't know.
my aunt, and I were visiting
get
her
me.
house. So at about 7 p.m., they all drove to town to do some grocery shopping.
He must be
I was
excited to
super
play some more
excited
games.
and waved goodbye to them. Since I think it is unnecessary to explain why I was excited, I'll just leave it. After enjoying about
Wow,
90
he's
minutes
back
of
on
free
the computer.
time, my uncle called. He said he was about to turn left on the road, but one of the front wheels was punctured, and asked me to bring him a new tire which was in the storage shed. As I said before, after making that left turn, it took about 5 minutes to drive through a narrow, unpaved single-lane road to see my
That
grandmother's
sucks
house.
to go
But it took about 20
and
to
to get
30
those
minutes
tires
on
by
foot.
yourself.
Now that I think about it, it was quite scary to walk on that road, especially at night. It had no streetlights and was surrounded by rice
No
fields and forests.
streetlights.
It was almost 9
and
p.m., and that area got quite dark at
forest
about
and,
8
like,
because it was in the
field.
country.
Dad,
So to be honest, I was
Scared.
really scared. But not wanting anyone to know I was a coward, I decided to go. I grabbed the tire, left the house, and started walking along the unpaved road. I could see my uncle shining his car's headlights toward me. That
what do you guys
said,
think? Do
he
you
was
think
still
that's the
quite far away
headlights?
from me, and the
Or do you think
headlights looked like
he's
two
looking at
big
something
yellow
else?
dots. I was a bit relieved
I
knowing my
think
uncle and family
it's-
were on the other end of this road. But the
I
night
think
was
it
dark,
might be.
which
I'm gonna say it's
deepened
the
my
headlights
fear.
because
You know,
I'm just gonna say
when you walk in the darkness, your eyes adjust, and you start
looks
to see
scary, man.
unclear shapes. I felt like I could see someone standing in a rice field, and someone sitting down, resting his chin on his hands, and looking at me through the
He's not
bushes.
seeing a bush. He's not seeing
I
a
broke
tree.
out in a
He's
cold
seeing
sweat
some
and
demons
held my
trying
legs
to follow
to keep
him
them from
and
shaking.
eat his flesh.
It felt scarier than being alone on a
I
pitch
hate when
dark
both of
night.
those videos have
And because
these,
of the
like,
fear and the delusion I had
demon
created,
people
I
coming up
remember
behind
feeling
you,
really dizzy.
like some kind of ghost.
After walking for about 20 minutes, I looked towards my uncle's car
Yep, I
and
guess it
realized
does.
I
It
was
looks
nearly
like a
there.
shape of a human
Feeling
driving a
happier,
car.
I rolled
But
the
what if
tire
he's looking at
faster.
stuff again?
I rushed to hand over the
You
tire to
imagine he
him
has
as
to go,
soon
like,
as possible, but saw
30 miles
something in
more.
front of me. I wasn't sure what it
What the
was
heck is
because
that?
it was still a
Please
bit
tell
away
me
from
he's
me,
seeing stuff
but
again.
it was something dark. Suddenly, I felt strange and slowed down. Since I wanted to determine what it was while still having some distance, I strained my head and neck trying to look carefully, but it was too dark. Although I was scared, I started to walk again, thinking nothing is going to happen because I have my uncle and family about 300 meters
That's
away.
like a lady.
But when I got closer to it, I
It's like a
stopped
lady with.
because it became clearly visible.
She does
It
not
was
have
an
legs.
old woman squatting with
She
her
doesn't have
mouth
legs.
open, looking at the rice
She does
field.
not look like she has legs.
I could only see the side of her face, but my whole body shivered because her blank facial expression with her mouth open was now clearly visible in the darkness. Without
Come back,
realizing,
guys.
I walked really close to the
Everything
old
she's
woman
wearing is like gray.
for reasons I don't
She has white
understand.
hair. Don't go
Walking
near
by
her.
without saying
talk to her,
anything
don't go
seemed
near her,
even
get
scarier, so I started talking to her.
Why?
With a frightened voice I
Did you
asked,
just hear me say
"Excuse
that?
me, what are
He
you
is not
doing
listening.
here at night?" But she did not respond and kept
is
looking at the
creepy.
rice field. On the verge of crying, I shouted, "Excuse me!" She then looked at
That
me,
is
and I
creepy.
felt my heart tighten.
You hear her like.
Even though it was dark,
She's like
I could
cracking
clearly
her
see
voice
she had
kind
permed
of.
white hair,
I could do
and I
that,
could
but
only
I
see
don't
the
wanna
white
do that.
parts of her eyes. The scariest thing were the huge wrinkles and stains covering her face and her wide open mouth.
She's just gonna come running at him.
I felt strange, like I was
Oh,
going
dang.
crazy while
Her
looking at
eyes
her.
rolled out of her head.
I had eye contact, but was looking down while she was looking up at me. After a few
Why is
moments of eye
she's a
contact,
weirdo?
she turned her
She's
body
making the sound
toward
of
me.
throat, and she's
Oh my
chomping
gosh,
on my
I thought she was
like,
sitting down, but realized she had
she
no
wants to
lower
come
body.
out. Yep,
She only had a
I knew
torso
she didn't
and
have
head which was
legs.
supported from the
She did
ground
not
with
look
2
like she had
arms.
legs.
A flood of thoughts crossed my mind, but I remember thinking, there is Satan right in front of me. I felt like she was going to run into me with her 2 arms if I didn't move, so I grabbed the tire in my arms and sprinted with my eyes closed tightly. Without remembering how long I'd been running, I suddenly felt relieved.
Well, we passed out.
It was the next morning, and I was in my grandmother's room.
Imagine that
When I
was
asked my mother what
his
happened,
grandmother.
she said she was waiting for me in the car and saw me sprinting with my head down, holding the tire in my arms, and suddenly fell off the road, causing my family to come out of the car shocked. After listening to my mother, I told her and my other family members what I went through, thinking I had suffered a heat stroke. That evening, my grandmother made me chicken soup. My uncle told me to stop playing horror games and wouldn't let me play Doom 3 anymore. From then on, I could only play a Star Wars racing game
It's better
while
than
staying
nothing.
at my grandmother's house. I still believe
That
it was
was-
not a ghost that I saw that day.
He had
It was just
that
an
lady
illusion
in her
caused
screen-
by
in
my
the
mental
screen.
weakness.
we should stop playing video games. Like, seriously, just stop. Never play it again. Well, that was the end of the video. Now we're permanently done. See you guys next time. Bye!